Welcome everyone to Beyond the Adventure. Today's episode is the almost abandoned Berkshire Mall, and let's get going. So, the Berkshire Mall is located in Lanesboro, Massachusetts, just next to Pittsfield, Mass, which is on the all-the-way western part of the state, almost near the New York state line. The mall opened in September of 1988. It had anchor tenants like Sears, JCPenney, Hills, which later became an Ames, and also a company known as Steigers, which became Filene's, and then finally Macy's. Sometime in the late 90s, the mall acquired a permit to open a BJ's wholesale club, but that eventually turned into a Best Buy. Ames closed in 2005. Target took over its place, but it did not open for 5 years after that. Other popular tenants like Old Navy started to close around in 2009, 2010, sometime around then. By October of 2015, Best Buy was vacating, and a few months after that, in January of 2016, Macy's announced its closing. In November of 2017, Sears announced their closing, and as we arrived, this is 2 months after Sears announced their closing. This was Martin Luther King Jr. Day in 2018. The mall was pretty much a former shell of itself. Now, I had gone up to this mall a couple of times when I was younger. I don't really remember going up there. The first time that I do remember going up there was right after a buddy of mine got his license. So he was about 16 and a half to 17, and I was probably about 15 and a half to 16 at the time. When I had gone up to this mall, I thought the mall was a lot nicer than the one that is in my hometown, but since then, every time that we have gone up here, it has just declined more and more. So entering Sears right here, like I said, Sears was one of the first stores in this mall. It was the main anchor tenant of the mall. Everything in this store was picked clean. Everything was like 70% off, if not more. As you can see, the shelves are empty. Everything's just pretty much gathered into the center of the store. They had all the displays on sale, all the racks on sale. They had stuff that they would use to unload the trucks, like the shelves with the wheels on them for unloading packages. They had dollies, everything like that. The only productive thing that I got in there was they had one pair of jeans that were my size, and instead of the jeans being $60, they were only $15.97 or something like that. It was under $20, which was a great deal. I'm not going to complain about that. Anyways, leaving the mall, this right there I believe was where Old Navy was located, but right after leaving the store that is closing, the first thing you see on your right is a store that's closed. Then you see a Solomon's Furniture, which is also going out of business. I believe they have to actually be out of the mall by the end of the month. Like I said, all these main major tenants are gone, and all the primary smaller tenants like Eastern Mountain Sports, Old Navy, they're all closed. Now, this, like I said, was on a Monday, and the mall where I'm from was completely packed that day because we actually drove by it coming back from here. A far cry, a huge difference. There is a former Hollister, that's all closed up. I'm not sure what some of these stores were because, like I said, I haven't been here. And about 5 years was the last time I went with Amanda, and not that many stores were closed. There's Best Buy, as you can see, all the lights are on, almost everything is cleared out of that store. There were a couple of popular tenants in there. Right next to Best Buy was kind of like a bounce house type of party store, I guess, where, you know, families could go in there and have a birthday party. That seemed to be pretty popular, and the Target seemed to be pretty popular. But other than that, everything was empty. Coming up here was the food court. This food court had things like McDonald's in it. It had, you know, typical Chinese fast food express stuff, you know, grinders. I believe there was a Subway or a D'Angelo's or something in there at one point in time. None of that stuff is there now. The only two restaurants that were in there, minus the smoothie place, was a pizza stop and also a Chinese place. There was, you know, probably 100 empty tables in the dining room, and 5 or 6 different people were sitting at them, including us. This is going through the mall here. Now, I do have to give them credit for having a mall with as many vacant tenants as they have right now. They do keep it surprisingly clean. Granted, from a couple of plants that were looking more than dead. That was the old JCPenney's right there that I was looking at. I'm going to have some pictures up here on the screen, but these were just busier times at the mall. This was, 5 years ago, 10 years ago, this mall was a completely different place. Everything's closed. Payless Shoes is closed. There was a CVS, I believe, up there. Target has a pharmacy in it, so that makes sense why they are closed. Now, we're leaving the mall right now. Seeing the signs on Best Buy, I thought that was really cool. It's like an old bronze plaque for Sears and Roebuck. But anyways, in 2014, the mall was taken over by Berkshire Mall LLC because the parent company that owned the mall, known as the Pyramid Group, which owned most of the malls in the area, had trouble keeping up with its $36.9 million mortgage. So 2 years after it was sold in 2014, it was sold again in 2016 to an investment group for $3.5 million. This group was based out of New York City. They don't really have any major plans to redevelop the mall or anything like that. But anyways, guys, that's going to do it for today's episode. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, give this video a thumbs up, and I will see everybody tomorrow for Thungry Thursday, Beer of the Week. Peace.